Welcome to the inaugural, the beginning of Mulvi's MMA Corner, your one-stop shop for MMA, UFC, punch 'em in the heads, and everything in between. My name is Matthew Mulvihill. I'm one-third of the amazing podcast called We Likey That. This MMA podcast is brought to you by We Likey That. You should definitely check it out. It's going to be on the same channel. I am one-third. The other two hosts, Cam Shows and Mr. Kurt Jordan. It's a funny, fun podcast. Check it out whenever you like. So what this show is, it's a show about the UFC, obviously, MMA, breaking down fights, picking fights, helping people who maybe are new to the sport, casually in the sport, help them get to, a better point, a better understanding of UFC. It's a complex sport, a lot going on, and I just want to be here as a tool to help you grow in your MMA knowledge, get you hyped up about fights, help you pick fights if you're betting, So yeah, I'm here to do that, and why not start on a great fight card, UFC 279, a real banger of a card, So yeah, today we're going to break down a couple fights, we're going to pick a couple fights, and let's get it rolling. So, first up, you know what time it is. Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, this has banger written all over it, you know what I mean? It's a bit of a setup fight for Khamzat, it feels like, He's kind of the bad boy of the division. He's a wild boy. Before his previous fight with Gilbert, he was just smashing dude. I think barely fought over a minute, So, it feels a bit like a setup fight for Nate Diaz. This is Nate Diaz's last fight on his UFC contract, and he'd been trying to get fights with Dustin Poirier, a few others, and UFC wasn't having it, or he wasn't having it. That's just kind of how Nate Diaz is, but nonetheless, he stepped up and said, you know what, I need to get out of this contract so I can maybe go fight Jake Paul or something, make big money. So he said, let me get the boogeyman, let me get Khamzat. So that's what he did, stepped up to the plate, and, it does feel like a setup. Most people are expecting Khamzat to crush Nate, but, weirder things have happened with Nate Diaz. So let's get into it a little bit. So first of all, the odds for this fight are horrendous, especially for a main event on a UFC pay-per-view. Currently we're looking at Khamzat with a minus 1050, 1,050, a big 10-5-0. I mean, that's insane odds for a main event, but it does make sense. Nate's a dog at plus 700. So, if you're into making a little money, hoping some crazy stuff goes on, throw a little couple bones on old Nate Diaz. Can't hurt, you never know what's going to happen with Nate Diaz. But, Khamzat's probably going to smash him. Nate Diaz is dang near impossible to get out of there unless doctor stoppage, but I don't know. I think it is going to be a Khamzat night. I think it's going to be ugly, bloody. I expect him to go in there and tag Nate, especially early. And if Nate gets tagged, whether he's hurt or not, he's going to drop down to his back and to his, his guard. And Khamzat, that's what he wants. He wants to go down there. He wants to bully you on the ground, crush you, submit you, smash you, hit you with a ton of elbows, punches, whatever he can to get you out of there. That's always his goal, is finish you early, finish you often. That's what he wants to do. But Nate Diaz has a great ground game. He loves to play off his back, loves his guard. He's very scrappy down there. He just knows how to make it messy on the ground, and can avoid getting finished a lot of times because he can kind of wrap you up and kind of hold you there till he recovers, or until he maybe finds something. He's going to try to throw up some submissions from the bottom, whether it be triangles or maybe slip in some arm bars or whatever he can. But that's what he likes to do. He likes to go to the ground and see if he can make something happen out of nothing. So that, I imagine, early in the first round, Khamzat's going to tag him. It's going to go down, and he's a lot stronger than Nate, bigger dude. Nate's never been known to be strong. He's just very durable, very good, endurance, the best endurance. So I like Khamzat's chances down there. He's probably a better grappler, especially on top. He just has such great control. He's so strong. I imagine he's gonna beat up Nate a bit. And I kind of think, I don't know if he's gonna get him. I don't think Khamzat's gonna get Nate out of there early, but you never know. I mean, my prediction is probably a mid-round, maybe third round, into the round doctor stoppage, honestly. Because Nate, he has a ton of scar tissue all around his eyes and face, and just, any kind of graze, he's going to start bleeding. And, I imagine, Khamzat's going to be throwing the kitchen sink at him, and, maybe in between third and fourth round, the doctors are going to start taking a look, and it could be pretty bad. And I think he's more likely to get that kind of stoppage than finish Nate outright. But I'm thinking it's a pretty clean, defiant finish for Khamzat. I will say, Nate fought Leon Edwards in his last fight. And it wasn't a great fight, it was a little slow, Leon Edwards style, where he's just picking and prodding and finding openings. But I will say, in that fifth round, Nate tagged Leon, the current champion, Leon Edwards. He tagged him, and honestly, he could have finished him, I think. He was doing the Nate Diaz thing where he's posing and flexing on him and doing the whole, rigmarole that Nate does, but he played around it. Leon was very hurt. He was very hurt. Look, almost out on his feet, and Nate just didn't go for it. I honestly think he could have finished him, but he didn't. Leon rightfully won 4-5, I think it was, and went on to become champ. But I think there's still a little dog in Nate. I just don't. It's a different kind of fight than the Leon fight. Khamzat's going to take it to him early and often, and probably get the finish. But crazier things have happened. Nate Diaz has done some wild stuff when he beat Conor in that first fight. Nobody's expecting that. And, we haven't really seen Khamzat go 5 rounds. He went 3 rounds with Gilbert in his last fight. Very close fight. I think, Khamzat should have won, should have got the W, but that third round was very close. It kind of made Khamzat look more human than he was. Before that, people thought he was a freak superhero and could beat anybody in the UFC. It was some crazy claims getting thrown around for Khamzat. So Gilbert definitely humanized him, hurt him, So he is human. He can be hurt, but I just don't think Nate's the guy to do that ultimately unless it goes late. So if you want to throw a couple bucks on Nate Diaz for a 5th round finish, not crazy, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah, it's a great fight. I'm really looking forward to it. It's not a fight I would have ever expected, but it's exciting. It's exciting. And, to follow before that fight, the co-main, Tony Ferguson versus Li Jingliang, I think is how you say it. Another great scrap, but another fight that probably isn't going to be close. Most people know Tony at this point. He's a vet. He never got that title shot versus Khabib, and boy, we all wanted that. We thought Tony was the guy, but then he came up against Justin Gaethje. Justin beat him to a pulp for 5 rounds. Eventually finished him in the 5th round, I believe. Ever since that beating, man, he has looked old. He aged quick in that fight. He went from another boogeyman of the UFC to, just an old head who scrappy, dangerous, but doesn't really have the juice anymore. He just doesn't. And I hate to see it. I love Tony. He's got some of the most exciting fights, one of the most exciting fight styles. He'll send you, to the plastic surgeon after his fight, just cut you up with elbows to cut you to bits, But I just don't think I think this is the end of the road for him. Li Jingliang is a real monster. He did lose to Khamzat, I believe, in his last fight, but everybody else has as well. Khamzat's undefeated for a reason, and I just think that's how it's going to go for most people. But Li Jingliang is also a monster himself. He's second in the welterweight division, I believe. Yeah, second in the welterweight division for most knockouts, and tied for most knockdowns in that division. So the boy's got hands. He throws hammers. If you don't know about him, he's extremely fun to watch. And I recommend you tune in. I think he's going to get the finish, unfortunately. I don't think he'll get it as early as Michael Chandler did in the last fight. I mean, boy, Tony got, he got put on a poster. He was a highlight. That will be on Michael Chandler's highlight reel for the rest of his life. But I think it will be something similar. I think he'll do it with the hands instead of a front kick like Michael Chandler did. But I don't think it's going to be pretty for Tony. I mean, he can make it dirty. He can make it scrappy and make it messy like he does. I don't know a ton about Lee's ground game, but I know he got them hands. And, boy, he's going to throw them, and I think he's going to get Tony out of there, maybe mid to late second round. I don't think it's going to be a pretty fight at all. And, I mean, the odds aren't crazy. A minus 325 for Lee, plus 250 for Tony, but I mean, we know Tony. I will say Tony looked really good in that first round against Michael Chandler. Showed some of that life, some of that old school Tony. But, it still ended viciously. And with that being Tony's fight, I don't even think that was that long ago, man. So I just don't see it going well for Tony. I got a knockout finish for Lee, maybe second round. But nonetheless, it's going to be a great fight. I mean, that's just a great it's a great co-main and main fight. But we got a banger alert. Banger alert. Sound the alarms, okay? We got Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, people are becoming aware of Kevin Holland, but he's one of the most fun, electric fighters in the UFC. He talks smack the whole fight. He is just going to be chirping in your ear the whole fight, just running it. And it's electric, man. He's so fun to watch. His striking is it's dynamic. It's creative. He has a great flow, especially once he kind of gets into he likes to kind of take the first round, it seems lately, to figure somebody out, start working some setups. But, he's looked really good in his last couple fights, and he's just been working, man. He's been putting in work. His wrestling early on got, shown to be a weak spot, but he's gone out and dedicated, it seems a pretty good amount of time to wrestling. And you can expect a show from him always. But also, he's fighting Daniel Rodriguez, who is a bad, bad boy as well. I mean, he's got hands. He's got great boxing. He can make it dirty. And, these two are going to go at it, man. I think this is the fight of the night. I think this is the one you're not going to miss. Yeah, and I mean, Daniel, he's got a good record. He's kind of, been coming on his last couple fights. But I think this one's going to be fun, man. I do think Kevin will get the job done. He's just looked really good, really crisp, and every fight kind of seems to be growing as a fighter, not only in skills, but his understanding of the fight game. How to use his range, his length to get setups and kind of trap his opponents to get finishes. Like I said, he kind of has started off slow lately, and maybe Daniel Rodriguez, if he takes it to him early, he could make something happen. But I'm expecting a Kevin Holland finish, maybe third round. I mean, Daniel is very tough, very crafty and skilled, but I just think Kevin Holland has that edge, and he just knows how to finish. He has that dog in him, man. He knows how to find that finish, and I'm expecting Kevin Holland to win. Yeah, he's a favorite, minus 200, plus 170 for Daniel. Not crazy, but I think that's about right, Kevin has really, really shown out lately, so that's a fun one, man. Tune in if you're really about it. Like I said, fight of the night. It's a full-on banger alert. You're not going to want to miss it. All right? Next up. Johnny Walker versus Ian Cutelaba. I think that's how you say it. Ian Cutelaba. This is also a banger, folks. These two have gone down a rocky road. They, had amazing starts in the UFC, especially Johnny, man. When Johnny Walker first came in the division, he was like an absolute killer. I mean, that's when John was still the king of the division. He had not, dipped out and potentially making a transition to heavyweight, but he was still the king, and I thought Johnny Walker was going to be the guy to take him. He's big, he's muscular, he's extremely athletic, and was just finishing dudes in brutal fashion. He really was. But in one of his fights, it was Serkinov. I can't remember his first name. Against Serkinov, he just brutalized this guy like a flying knee with elbows to follow up and just slept him. And then celebrates by doing the worm. Okay, and not only is it tough to just do the worm, but he tore his shoulder. I think he tore like all the way out of the socket, tore his labrum and stuff. I mean, it's just embarrassing. And what a way to just like kind of shut down your career, because he was a real demon before that. But ever since he did the freaking worm to tear his shoulder, he has not been the same. And it's a shame, man. He was one of my favorite fighters to follow his journey, because he just looked unstoppable. He looked like he had everything. And, you know, it's just kind of been, it's been kind of messy ever since. You know, I think he got a good one over Ryan Spann, but I think last two fights, it's just not looked great. What's his name? Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill knocked him out brutally in his last fight, and I think before that fight, he moved his camp to SBG in Ireland, which is where Conor is, and a bunch of other good fighters. And he kind of seemed to be changing his style a bit, not so wild and aggressive, because he's a wild guy. He has an eccentric fighting style, but it's very creative, and it makes openings, but it also leaves him open at times. And they kind of seem to dial that back at SBG, but he also didn't seem comfortable in it. I think it was going to take him a couple fight camps, so honestly, I'm expecting him to come back and look good, honestly, man. I mean, I really think he's going to look good. But his opponent, Ian Cutelaba, is a real demon too. And his record doesn't show it. You know, he's a dog, man. He goes in there looking for action, looking for finishes, and it hasn't gone his way lately, but he also has hands, can throw hard, can take a punch. So I really think this fight is going to be amazing. Somebody's going to sleep. That's really just that's how these two guys fight. They go to sleep or they sleep them. You know what I mean? So I do. They have Johnny Walker as a plus 175 dog, and I mean, looking at their records, they're both kind of the same path. But I just think if Johnny Walker has figured it out with SBG and put it together, he's got the juice, man. He's got it. I think he's going to get this finish. Probably early if it goes long. I mean, I think it'll be a great fight even through 3 rounds, but. I'm looking for an early finish, maybe second round, Johnny Walker. But you know what? I'm dialing that back. I'm dialing it back. First round finish, Johnny Walker, because these dudes are going to come out just swinging. That's just their style. It's going to be messy. Somebody's going to sleep. I think first round stoppage, Johnny Walker. Good dog to throw some money on if you're really about it. And yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting one. And last but not least, the final segment. These are fights that I like to call sleeper heaters. What are sleeper heaters? Sleeper heaters are fights that are real bangers, heaters, all about that action. But they're also sleepers, because they're people you may not know, you may not have heard of, aka sleeper heaters. Okay, this is a sleeper heater fight right here. I've got Hakeem Dawodu versus Julian Erosa. Okay, these two guys, not very well known. Hakeem, you know, kind of of late has grown in his name and his fame, but he's still, you know, relatively unknown. But ton of skills, and the same goes for Julian. Just a bad boy. I mean, he's won a good bit of his fights. You know, let me pull up his record here real quick. Yeah, he's 27-10. My guy has 37 fights. Hakeem is 13-2-1. I mean, not bad at 2 fights lost. I mean, that's impressive. But 27-10. Julian has a ton of experience, and it shows, man. He's good everywhere. He has a bunch of finishes standing and a bunch of finishes on the ground, submissions. So he's very well rounded. And I think these boys are going to go to work. Hakeem has been known to take his time, be patient, and be a thinker in the cage, and just try to, you know, find setups, find openings. But I think the way Julian fights, he's going to bring it to him and make Hakeem work. And, you know, this kind of fights you want. You got 2 talented guys, both can strike. I think they're going to get after it on the feet. But Hakeem is the favorite in this fight at minus 215. But, man, I just don't know. From what I've seen from Hakeem, he's kind of up and down. You know, even when he wins, it's usually pretty dominant, I would say, but it's not in a way that, you know, the other fighter looks, you know, beaten and broken. It's kind of just like a close decision. So I just think Julian has the goods for him. You know, I think he's going to try to take it to him on the ground and see what he's got down there. I believe Hakeem is a taekwondo or kickboxing more of a specialist. So I'm very interested to see what Julian does on the ground. I think the dog and Julian at plus 185 has got it. I think he's got the juice to take it to Hakeem, make this fight, nasty, and not let Hakeem, work at range and, stick him from the outside. I think Hakeem's going to get in there and make it dirty. And with that experience he has, I mean, anything could happen, but he just seems to be, to me, more ready than Hakeem does. And I'll be fine to be proven wrong, but another dog at 185, you work a couple of these into a parlay, you're maybe looking at some cash at the end of the night, you can thank me later. But yeah, I mean, this is, overall, man, this is a great card. Not the most star power. I mean, when you have Nate Diaz and Khamzat at the top of the card, you don't have to do too much as the UFC. I mean, Nate and Khamzat do the work for you as far as, carrying the load and selling pay-per-views. I mean, you got Tony Ferguson on the card. Even Kevin Holland, he's really grown as a star lately, and I think this is his breakout fight. If he finishes Daniel Rodriguez, you're going to start to look for Kevin to start really moving up. Also on the card, on the main card, you have Irene Aldana versus Macy Chiasson. I'm lukewarm on the fight. I think they're both very talented. Irene seems legit. She's only a minus 175 favorite, but I've seen a lot more better work from her, so I expect Irene to get the W. I don't know if it'll be a finish or what, but it'll be a good fight. Just not one I'm super high on, but overall that main card is pretty juicy. Then you got Hakeem. The Hakeem and Julian Erosa fight is main event on the prelims, so even if you don't catch most of the prelims, tune in, get a warm-up from the main card with those two guys. I think it's going to be a really good fight. And again, it's a sleeper heater of the card, so be looking out. And as far as the rest of the prelims, not a ton that's really catching my eye, other than the first fight on the prelims, not the early prelims, but the prelims. The first fight on the prelims is Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett. Now, this is some big boys. This is heavyweight. Neither of them are keto or low carb diet. You can tell that, but they got them hands. They like to swing. They got Jake Collier at minus 410 favorite, which seems aggressive. I mean, Chris Barnett hasn't had a lot of fights in the UFC, but if you're trying to see a big boy move, look up the highlight of Chris Barnett hitting a spinning heel kick. I mean, that big boy was moving. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm not usually one for dogs, but Chris Barnett's got the juice. You know what I mean? He's got the movement. He'll surprise you with the knockouts. Just fun to watch. And then Jake Collier, good striker. He used to be like a welterweight or maybe 185. I can't remember, but ate his way into heavyweight. He's been doing work. He's looked good. He's got great ground game, good striking. He likes to take it to dudes. So I think this will be a really fun one. We love a sloppy heavyweight fight, especially when they go not past the second round, because third round of sloppy heavyweights usually is not fun. But I think this is going to be an early stoppage for one way or the other. Jake probably going to take it, but I kind of like Chris Barnett for that flashy knockout. That'd be fun, But either way, it'd be one to tune in. It's a good fight, especially for that early. If you're a degenerate like me and you watch all the fights, if not, you still got plenty to tune into later. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just don't know. A ton of these other guys, not really catching my eye. That Yelton Almeida, he's bodied up. I know that, so that should be interesting to watch. Other than that, yeah. So again. To wrap this up, it's a good card. I'm very excited about the main event. Nate Diaz, Khamzat Chimaev. Going to be a great fight. I'm picking Khamzat to win that doctor stoppage. Kind of a wild paper doctor stoppage between the third and fourth round. But do look to Nate to get a late finish in the fifth round. If it goes past that third round, the doctor says he's looking all right. He can still see. Hitting him with the ones and twos in front of his face. He says he's okay. I'm looking for a Nate finish late. Kind because I just don't know if Khamzat's been that long. He's going to be pounded on eight. But, Nate is extremely hard to finish. He's only, I think, really been finished one time, and it was a while back. So, it's interesting to see. And, Nate Diaz wants to go out of his contract on top. If he beats Khamzat, oh my gosh, the internet will explode, man. And he's looking for that big payday, maybe with Jake Paul. Get the money he never really got from UFC. Nate's a wild boy. He does things on his own terms, whether for his benefit or not. That's just how he does it. And if he could go out like this and ruin their poster boy Khamzat, man, it'd feel good. But either way, that's going to be a banger. And let me see, for the rest of this, I think that's about it. But yeah, that's about it for this first one. Still figuring out where we're going to go with this, but it's been fun. I definitely want to do one. We have next month, we have official Jake Paul, Anderson Silva. Never thought I would look forward to a Jake Paul fight, but I'm looking for old man Anderson to do some work on Jake Paul, and I will definitely be breaking down that and some other fights coming up. A big goal of mine is to, like I said, help people go from more casual MMA fan into a more advanced, informed fight fan in general. So definitely be looking for more content about that, about just the minutia of MMA and helping you peer into the chaos that's happening. Because I know from outside looking in, there's just a lot happening, whether it be striking, wrestling, the jiu-jitsu on the ground. There's just a lot to pick up on, and I'd like to help you guys figure it out, because this is my favorite sport. I've been watching this sport since 7th grade, I think, which was like 2007 or so. Started doing taekwondo, and I've dabbled in jiu-jitsu, and it's the chaos that is MMA. You never know, things can switch in an instant, like the Leon Usman fight. That was insane. I mean, I thought it was wrapped up with a bow, and Leon said, "Not yet, baby. I got a minute left. It's my time." And it's not something that can really happen in other sports. I mean, you can have some freak stuff happen in football. Maybe you think it's done, they're going for an extra point or a long field goal, doesn't make it. Does like Auburn versus Alabama, Auburn runs it back, and that's the end of the game. And that does happen. But say a team's up 20 to nothing, chances are slim if there's a minute left. But in MMA, it looked like Kamaru Usman was up, had the fight won, and in an instant, Leon changed it. So that's what I love about it, and I just want to help more people get to that point where they love it and tell others about it and can help the sport grow. But at the end of the day, appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been good. This has been Maddie's MMA Corner, and I'll check you for the next fight. Peace.